All right. How's everybody doing today? It is, what is the date? February the 9th. I hope everybody is doing good, having a good day. We got a lot to talk about. We had some stuff happen. Adjust this just a little bit. Just on there we go. All right. We got some stuff to talk about today. We had the Putin interview with Tucker Carlson that was, for some reason, the biggest news of all time. And we have Biden slip-ups. We have some developments in the Middle East. We have some new developments in Ukraine. Just for everybody who's just tuning in right now, if you guys missed my video yesterday, I posted it at sort of a weird time, kind of like right when the Tucker Carlson interview was coming out. If you missed it, it didn't get a lot of traffic. Go check it out. I thought it was one of my better videos, and it kind of did not so good. So it is what it is. Sometimes they do good, sometimes they do bad. But if you missed that, go check that out. And before we get started, if you guys wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and going and following me on Twitter and Telegram, that would be of great help to me. I'd really appreciate it. Those are the places where you can stay up to date with my live streams, figure out what I'm doing and where I'm going, what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on globally. That is the best place to stay in touch with me and to stay on track with what I'm doing. But without further ado, let's get into it. I'm sorry about the stream, guys. I really wanted to live stream that Putin interview, even though it was kind of boring. But it got taken down. So I just was like not really in the mood to restart it and get it back going again. And yeah, so we're here. You guys remember the rule basically in here is if you guys want to ask questions and you want me to answer them while I'm going through this stuff, a super thanks is the best way to do that. If you have a question that pertains to something important, that's the best way to get it to me. And that's also a good way to support me. So if you want to do that, I truly appreciate it. And you guys usually have pretty good questions, so it kind of helps me expand upon the episode. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Let's start with the Tucker Carlson episode that just released. As everybody in here probably knows, because you guys all stay up to date, Tucker Carlson had a interview with the one, the only Vladimir Putin. And there was a lot of hype about this episode when we were coming into. Oops, got my phone. There was a lot of hype about this episode when we were coming into the week. The people that don't like Tucker and the people that don't like Putin boosted the absolute living shit out of this thing, that it should have never been this big, but they do kind of like shoot themselves in the foot. And they actually spread the interview better than anybody else even could. No matter how much you spent on marketing, there's no way you can top confrontation, right? Anything that draws the eye and gets people's attention, gets clicks, that's the best way to do it. And Tucker just set it up perfectly. The interview was a classic Putin interview. He had a 2-hour window to explain his entire reasoning to the West. Usually these interviews and interviews in general carry some sort of weight when it comes to decision making. Like, foreign countries should, I'm not saying that the United States is, but really analyze what he's saying and pick it apart and understand, because usually world leaders will leave little hints in their speeches or in their interviews that's sort of like messaging. And I believe that there was a lot of messaging in this interview that should be definitely listened to and tried, attempted to make some sort of progress towards negotiations or something like that. But I don't see that happening. I think we're too far down the rabbit hole. Okay, there we go. Yep, I know. Audio. Sorry, guys. There must be there must be something wrong, like with my computer or something with that connection, and that's why it keeps muting me. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Yeah, guys, I know. It pops up when I have no sound, so I can see it. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry that happens. I'm going to try to keep from moving this too much, because it seems to me that the problem might be me. I hope it's not actually like my PC connection, but like the connection to the PC. But it doesn't matter. A lot of people were saying that this made Putin look bad. I don't really necessarily see how, outside of boring. But he's not an entertainer, right? He's a world leader. He's the president of a nuclear superpower. He's here to convey a message, and that's exactly what he did. And it also looked like that this message was actually intended for a domestic audience as well. I've seen it being shared at a lot of schools today. They were watching it and stuff like that. So I do think that there is there was more to it than just speaking to, say, like Republicans in the West, like everybody thought that this interview was intended for. I think Tucker did a really good job. I think that he actually did press Putin in some areas. Putin declined to answer some questions and sort of worked his way around it. At one point, Tucker asked him something along the lines of of territorial acquisition in Ukraine. Are they done? Would they be happy with what they have? Are they going to go for more? And he was like, let me finish what I was just about to say, and goes back to talking about something else, and then kind of brushed off that question, which I believe is very smart. I mean, strategic ambiguity is great. Don't let your enemy know what your plans are, whether you're ready to stop, whether you want to keep going. But it's also a good way to not put himself into a situation where he ends up being wrong in the future. He doesn't just say things like a certain other president that I know very well. He looked very competent. I can't imagine Biden sitting anywhere for 2 hours, let alone talking for 2 hours, let alone talking coherently for 2 hours. I That seems more impossible than a Ukrainian victory in Ukraine right now. So it's really not good. With the Biden situation, but the Putin situation, he seems like he's sharp as a tack, almost to an autistic level when it came to some of that history. I mean, my dude went back to medieval Russia to try to convey what was going on in Ukraine and how Ukraine is like an artificial state and all this stuff. So he really, he really did a deep dive there. He pulled out a briefcase that had some documents. There was a lot going on there. I think that he was very happy to do that interview. He seemed like he was having a good time. He was also teasing and giving Tucker Carlson a hard time about stuff, which is, I mean, you just look at the difference between the two presidents. If you don't know, Biden also did he addressed the nation in with regards to his classified documents that were found in his house and the scathing report. We're going to read it later that came out about why they weren't going to prosecute him on these classified documents. He did that during the Tucker Carlson interview, which was, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. I do not know what was going through their heads at the time that they made that decision, because it was a stark contrast between the two. I mean, Putin is talking about, I mean, he's talking about off the top of his head, deep Russian history, dates, everything that happens, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. This dude was like rolling, right? And then Biden comes out and he's talking about how it's not his fault that these classified documents were in his house, even though it is his fault. He blamed his staffers. And then he goes on to basically get into a shouting match with reporters, as reporters just completely drop the classified document questions and instantly start getting on, asking him questions about his mental acuity, his ability to lead the country in his current mental state. And Biden just shut down. I mean, he was having a difficult time up there. He was struggling to get words out. And then after a little while of this arguing, he said, "All right, I'm done. No more questions." Began to walk off stage. And then some genius reporter, I don't know who it was, but I'm so happy, came out and asked Biden for a comment on the Israel-Gaza situation. Biden then is almost off stage at this point, turns around, walks back to the center stage, and I will watch a video of that in a second, and goes on to say that they think that what Israel did in Gaza was over the top. That's a quote. Which is a big deal. That's an omission right there. It means that there are definitely disagreements with how the Gaza situation's going. There's stuff going on there that's not being necessarily brought to the attention of the public because of the way Israel, operates its media, right? So operates its propaganda, operates every aspect of its image, and then Biden goes on to make a critical error. I do not know why he came back to the podium. He would have got off okay, but he comes back to the podium. He sits there. He's talking about the Israel-Gaza situation, and then he makes the biggest blunder I think I've ever seen. On top of all of this mental acuity stuff coming up, like where is he at? How's his dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever progressing? He gets up there and he says that Sisi, the president of Mexico, is not letting humanitarian aid cross the border at Rafah. I don't know what the name of I can't remember what the last two letters of that town is, but the border town on Egypt and Israel's southern border. So basically Gaza and Israel, where they touch, there's a border crossing. And he said that the president of Mexico, Sisi, who is the president of Egypt, would not let humanitarian aid come across the border. Obviously, he got the borders confused because he's dealing with his own border issues. But this brings up a lot of questions, right? First off, who's running the country? Because it's obviously not this guy. I mean, we can joke and pretend and laugh at this senile old man, but it is quite sad what we are seeing. And the fact that we are choosing this individual to represent our country on the national stage is horrific, right? This, I mean, this is a joke. If you're not embarrassed as an American, if you're not embarrassed as somebody who supports the West, I guess you would say, uh, as I do, I want the West to be better. I want the West to be something that I can be proud of, right? I want the United States to be a strong leader in the world. I want them to be doing the right thing on the world stage, and they're not. And this is exactly why we are watching it right in front of us. This is the fall of Rome. You are watching the end of it. Like, this is the lunacy that you heard about during the end of the Roman Empire. All of the infighting, all of the greed, all of the shenanigans. People are, I mean, they're having gay sex in the, is it the Congress or the Senate? One of the government buildings where they do important shit. I mean, there's staffers having sex in there. This is the end of Rome. That's what you're watching. And we're just I mean, I'm not okay with it, but what can we even do about it? We are in a wild time, guys. I don't know how else to explain it, but Mexico got real nervous when Biden started talking about them in relation to Gaza. They said, what the hell's going on? But I mean, Biden looked like a dull knife and Putin looked like a tack. That's what you take away from this. And they could have just let this interview go and be boring and die alone, but they just can't stop stepping in it. That's all they do. They don't seem to have a solid plan. They don't seem to have any direction. They did this during the Tucker interview, and it just ate shit and died. It was horrible. I mean, I'm curious as to what you guys think. I'm going to take us over to Twitter now so you guys can actually watch that in case you missed it, because that's what I want to do. I enjoy watching these because I think they're quite funny.
Conduct of the response in the Gaza Strip has been
so this is not him messing up, but this is
over the
him
top,
fumbling and just looking like
I think that
wrong.
As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him.
I talked to the president of Mexico.
Talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side.
Nobody else. It was me. Nobody else. I mean, guys, he looks like he doesn't know where he is. If you went to your grandfather's house and he was behaving like this, what would you do? First off, I would be concerned. I'd say, why is my grandfather acting like he doesn't know what the hell is going on? I'm going to read this report right over here. That is the reason why he actually was put in this situation to begin with. Where is it? I know I bookmarked it. Are you kidding me? I know I bookmarked it. That's bullshit. I know because I saw it and I said, ooh, I want to read that. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on. Right here. All right. So this is from, who put this up? I can't remember. This is the reason. So this is why they're claiming they cannot prosecute Biden on his classified documents that he had illegally stored in his house. In an interview with our office, Mr. Biden's memory was worse. He did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended. If it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president? And forgetting on the second day of the interview when his term began in 2009. Am I still vice president? ? Which is his quotes. He did not remember. Even within several years when his son Beau died, and his memory appeared hazy when describing the Afghanistan debate that was once so important to him. Among other things, he mistakenly said he had, quote, he, quote, had a real difference of opinion with General Carl Eikenberry, when in fact Eikenberry was an ally whom Biden cited approvingly in his Thanksgiving memo to President Obama. I'm sorry, guys, this is really tiny and hard to read. In a case where the government must prove that Biden knew he had possession of a classified Afghanistan documents after the vice presidency and chose to keep those documents knowing he was violating the law, we expect that we expect that a trial his attorney would emphasize these limitations in his recall. So their excuse for why they're not pressing charges against a government official who was illegally storing classified documents, which by the way, is exactly what they got on Trump about, right? That's exactly what they were investigating. They went into Mar-a-Lago. They were pulling all that stuff out. They did this to Trump. Meanwhile, I mean, Hillary had whole servers of emails, never got prosecuted for that. Trump got prosecuted. Biden has the same exact situation that Trump had, but that's not okay. Biden had things in destroyed boxes in his garage next to his Corvette, top secret information about Afghanistan. That's crazy. I'm at a loss for words, and they're saying they cannot prosecute him because he basically, in front of a jury, they're going to say, look at this senile old man. Does he look like he knows what he's doing? Does he look like he understands right from wrong right now? He cannot stand trial because of his mental degradation. He's the fucking president. The dude has a nuclear suitcase. Guys, help me. Help me understand this. I'm watching a fucking circus, dude. I don't get it. Okay. And here's another one. This one's on.
And I don't want to. There is some movement, and I don't want to. Well, maybe choose my words.
Yeah, get it out.
There's some movement.
Today, Junior.
There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition.
This is me when I smoke. But if you guys ever hear me in a sneeze,
yes, I'm sorry, from
Hamas. This is when
but
I'm
it
really
seems to be a little over the top. We're not sure where it is. There's a continuing negotiation right now.
The worst thing that could happen is that nobody does anything.
Yeah.
We continue to pretend everything.
Yeah, that is exactly right. The worst thing that can happen is that everybody pretends that everything's okay. Oh man, I just don't know. In my personal view, I don't necessarily think that the Biden interview was like a win for him. I think he got a lot of the information out that he needed to, but those long form interviews, nobody's really going to watch those. The important thing is the clips that come out of those interviews, because that's what people, I mean, it's like 5-second news, right? That's what people retain. That's what they build their entire, political identities off of, is like half news that they haven't fact checked. So Putin doing this interview, getting his point across, even if some parts are boring and people think that, you're not going to necessarily win people over because that's not entertaining. The important thing is that the generation that is like the millennials and the Gen Z, a majority of the voters are on TikTok, and that's where they're going to get most of their news, is from the TikTok like clips and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of clips that have gone very viral with a lot of what he's saying, particularly the Nord Stream stuff, where he blamed Tucker Carlson and then said, but the CIA didn't have an alibi. I've seen that go pretty viral. I've seen some other stuff about Ukrainian corruption go viral and stuff like that. So I would say it's a win, but it's more of a win because he just didn't lose. I feel like that's been the Russians a lot of the time through this, since February 2022, is the Russians are winning because they're not losing like the US is, right? It's not necessarily that they're winning all over the place. It's just they're not, maybe they're losing, they're just not losing as hard as the US is. The US looks like a complete joke. It messed up in Israel. It messed up in Ukraine. It's messing up in the Middle East right now, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. The whole situation is just continuously getting worse and worse. And the interview is just a perfect example of how things are getting bad for that side of the aisle. You know, I don't mean aisle like in U.S. political terms, but just the pro-Ukrainian, pro-West, pro-war in Ukraine group is really struggling. They did not want this interview to come out. They do not want Putin to be legitimized. They do not want people to hear what Putin has to say because things are getting very bad in Ukraine. Everybody can see that things are getting bad. Even if you're lying to yourself, you really can't lie to yourself. You know what's going on. You can see how things are deteriorating. Unless you're an absolutely, completely delusional person, the West is losing. And I mean, like I said, just these two interviews. You have Tucker Carlson, a non-establishment individual who is being very successful away from the establishment that controls the narrative, right? Which is very dangerous. Is interviewing. I'm going to literally kill my mic. I'm gonna beat this thing to death. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna beat it to death. It's done. It's done. I'm done. But let's get into it. Can you guys hear my dog? Hold on. Let's see what he's snoring. No, he stopped. All right. I wanted to talk about the situation in the Middle East. Actually, let's go over the Zaluzhny Sersky changes. So we had a change to the Ukrainian leadership. Zelensky has been beefing with Zaluzhny. There's been some disagreements in strategy. Zelensky wants things done his way. He wants people. I'll get into it in a second. But they were beefing, so Zaluzhny had to go, along with the people that are loyal to Zaluzhny. We're seeing a purge right now. It's going to be a silent purge. You're not going to see all of it. But, you know, Zaluzhny's gone. Sersky has been put into his position. And again, you want to talk about losing. This is the worst decision I think I have ever seen. Hey, stop snoring. Hey. Okay. This is the worst decision I've ever seen. You have pro-Ukrainians who are saying it's a horrible decision. You have, I mean, it's everybody is basically like, what the hell are you doing, Zelensky? This was not the guy to put into this position. He is infamous in Ukraine for his battlefield neglect, I would say, of his men. He is like, if you ever hear people talk about the Russian meat assaults, Sersky is the guy who does that. Like that's him. He will sacrifice men for objectives to no end. Even if the objective cannot be achieved. And that's what you're about to see with the Ukrainian, what I believe is going to be a Ukrainian deblocking attempt of Avdiivka. So we'll get into that. But along with Sersky, we also had this gentleman removed. Right here. Let's see. In addition to Zaluzhny, the head of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Shpatala, was removed today. Instead, the commander of the Volkssturm, which is the, if anybody knows, the German, this is a Russian telegram, but this is the German citizen army, which basically means he's the leader of the territorial defense. He's the commander of the territorial defense. He has been promoted to the position of basically Gerasimov in Russia. So a bunch of changes happening to the leadership. Again, another yes man for Zelensky. Zelensky needs a guy who's going to stand in the pocket and not question why he's there. And that's who Syrskyi is. He's going to continue to push his men into that salient, and they're going to stay there. And here is an article by Politico, which is probably, again, I mean, this is just another prime example of what is happening in Ukraine right now. Zaluzhny is out, the Butcher is in. They're calling the new commander of the armed forces of Ukraine the Butcher. And it's not because of his successful military operations, let me tell you. Do you want to see what he is responsible for in terms of his military career? I'll show you. I'll show you because I have it. I saved it. Let's see. Maybe I didn't save it. I am so stupid, guys. I'm like dumb, but that's okay. That's okay because it is right down here. There it is. All right. Here are all of the operations that General Syrskyi has been in charge of. If anybody doesn't know, this was during the 2015 Ukrainian offensive. They pushed in from Bakhmut, which was Artyomsk at the time, back behind Horlivka, and then got themselves into a salient, which is why I call him. I can't remember his first name, but you know how wrestlers have like nicknames and fighters have nicknames, like Chuck the Iceman Liddell. Well, he's either the Butcher, which is good, but I also like to call him Mr. Salient because this dude loves, remember, commander of the Bakhmut operation, sitting Soledar, again, another massive failure with Ukrainians that were literally jumping off buildings instead of surrendering. A horrible situation developed in Soledar. And finally, Avdiivka is now his new home. This dude loves sitting in the pocket, unlike anybody I've ever seen. MMA, mixed martial arts. So yeah, that's what's going on there. It's not a real good look to move him into the commander position, but I don't really think he had a lot of options. He had to get somebody who was at least respectable with military experience and somebody who was loyal to him, and that's who Syrskyi is. So he got his yes man, and now you're seeing the the classic Steiner meme, the Steiner's counterattack. Well, the last commander of the German armed forces is basically who Syrskyi is, a man who will not defy orders and he will fight to the last. And so, I came out and I said, expect progress in Avdiivka to slow down a little bit because the Russians are now going to be dealing with a military commander who does not care about his men. He is going to throw waves and waves at Avdiivka to try to deblock it. And just expect to, the footage is just going to be brutal. Get ready. It's the next coming month is probably going to be pretty intense around Avdiivka. I also expect the Russians to move in a different direction as well. Oh wait, wrong tab. Sorry, the little monkey. Bookmarks. Hold on. And then I wanted to talk about the Middle East because the situation has continued developing in the Middle East. This is from Osnet Defender. He's doing good work on the Middle East. I don't always agree with him, but at least his reporting is pretty sound. The Islamic resistance in Iraq has announced that it will be resuming and escalating its campaign against U.S. and coalition military forces in Syria and Iraq, following the retaliation strikes last Friday by the U.S. Air Force and drone strikes on Wednesday in Iraq. In Iraqi, what does it say? In the Iraqi capital of Baghdad, which resulted in the death of Abdu Bakir al-Sadi and Arkan al-Awali, both high-ranking field commanders of the Iranian-backed militia group Katabi Hezbollah. I'm sorry if I butchered those. I am not from that region of the world. I do not know what's going on. Here we have a question from Fallen Crow. Russian command must be popping one bottle after another. Yeah, with his promotion news. The first thing I came out and said was, wow, that's a gift to the Russians. You want to talk about somebody who is going to play directly into a war of attrition? That would be Xerxes. He is going to be it's like burning the candle at both ends, basically. Right now, the Ukrainians it looked like they were at least trying to slow burn the candle as they kind of got out of Avdiivka. It's still burning faster than normal, but now it's getting to a point where it's gonna end quicker if they go through with what they're talking about. But back to the Middle East, this basically means that the U.S. strikes, the deterrent strikes in Iraq and Syria did absolutely nothing. They changed nothing. They actually made things worse. They escalated. And I'm pretty sure that's what the people who are advocating for the strikes want. They want a regional war. They want to finish Iran. They need something to focus on, something to commit to, something to rally around. And I believe that they're going to try to escalate with Iran, and it will be Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel's going to be fighting there. The U.S. will probably also be fighting with the Houthis here soon in some manner, because you can't have the interdiction of ships continuing. It's just not. If the U.S. wants to remain a global superpower, it has to, a hegemony, it has to be able to keep shipping lanes open, and that's something that is being threatened. So, and also just for some other news, we have reports from the Gaza, the Egypt-Gazan border in. Hold on, let me just see what the. Let me read this off to you just so you guys know what I'm talking about here. There. All right. Oh no. Why is it loading so slow? Okay, it's not loading right now, so I'm just gonna give it a second. But basically, the Israelis are threatening to cut off. Dude, why is this not working? I don't know. The Israelis are threatening to push the Palestinians out of Rafah. I think it's Rafah. Rafah. I don't know, guys. It's a settlement, a small city on the border of Gaza and Egypt, and the Israelis are threatening to go in and push the Palestinians out that are currently in there. I don't know if they think there's Hamas in there. I don't know what their goal is. Maybe it's just to push everybody out. But the Egyptians have threatened retaliation if this happens. So we'll see how that develops. And on top of that, it does look like Venezuela will be trying to control the offshore oil of Guyana, of the region that they have claimed to have annexed. So yeah, Rafah, yeah, something like that. I'm sorry about my pronunciation, guys. The Middle East stuff is just not my cup of tea. So I appreciate you guys putting up with that. If you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them up right now. I'll get to some, and then we'll get out of here. All right. Let's see. I'll give you guys a couple seconds. I'm China. Oh no. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Do you mean you're Chinese? No, not Justice for Glenn. Daily the Scott streams have been awesome this week. Hey, I appreciate it so much, man. I'm glad you like them. That's it's very nice to hear. And I'm gonna keep doing these daily, so stay on top. Except probably this Sunday, Super Bowl, go Chiefs. Let's go. So yeah. Question: do you think the establishment will punish Tucker? I think that the establishment has done pretty much everything they can to punish Tucker. I don't think I don't think that there is really much more they can do. They're not going to sanction him. They're not going to do anything like that. They're just going to continue trying to discredit him at any chance they can. You know, Putin puppet, so on and so forth. So just expect that. Your source tells you Russia is begging for supply. Okay, well, first off, I'd like to know who your source is. And what supply are they begging for? Supply of what? You got to be specific. How does the Middle East terrain and climate affect your military analysis? I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean like, are you asking it like, how the hell does that even affect your analysis? Or are you asking it like genuinely, how does it affect your analysis? It affects my analysis because, I mean, different climates require different strategies. If you're in a mountainous region, there's completely different things that you have to do than if you're in flat fields in Zaporozhye. You just different problems that you encounter and stuff like that. Let's see. Is Israel really not concerned about pissing off Egypt? They should be. I think Egypt is one of the only countries in the region that is basically, they're in a very, very difficult position where they are going to be getting pushed around a lot here very soon by multiple different nations. And I feel like they will use this as a way to establish strength and keep their sphere of influence strong. Yeah, desserts mostly. Deserts mostly. Let's see. There we go. That's a good joke. I also like your your profile picture. Let's see. Question: can we get some Z's in the chat? Shout out to Glenn. What's after Avdiivka? After Avdiivka, I think you're going to see a push towards the 0552 highway between Marinka and Ugledar, and then down the Oskal in the Kharkov and LPR regions is probably the next two areas. Because if the Russians want to put pressure on Kramatorsk, they're going to have to recapture Liman. So I would expect that direction to be the focus, while the Ukrainians are focusing on Avdiivka. Sorry for the vague question, but you got it. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad. Keeping Zaluzhny, would Zelensky getting cooped, getting Budanov would allow? I don't know. I think Budanov is very, very powerful where he is. If there is ever a need to replace Zelensky, I think he'll be the man. But for right now, I think he's probably the single aspect of the Ukrainian system that is functioning properly and efficiently. So I don't think they want to move him right now. Plus, him and Zelensky seem like they're fine. You're the only Ukraine war content creator live found that takes questions from their subscribers, so that makes you my favorite. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. I like talking. I feel like the reason why I do this is to try to inform people, and it helps me also understand, the conflict and everything better. So, yeah, questions are always welcome. Like I said, if you guys ever want to drop into my DMs and ask me questions about anything, go ahead. Like I said, I try to get to everybody. If it's sometimes in my message requests, it might take me a while or never to get to it. I have so many message requests that like spam and shit. So if it gets disappeared, I'm sorry, but I try to get to everybody. I'm sure I've had conversations with some of you. For sure. Let's see. Yeah, slide into those DMs. Did you see President Putin? No, I didn't. Yes, they are desperate, and it's only going to get worse. And the lashing out's going to get worse, and the stupid mistakes are going to get more consequential, and it's just going to get worse and worse. And I honestly believe we will be in a war before the election. I don't see a way that we're going to get around it with the direction we continue to head down. There seems to be no de-escalation in mind. Russian watch or Rolex. I don't wear watches. I don't wear jewelry. I am like autistic when it comes to that sort of stuff. I'll fidget with it and it just bugs me, and I hate it. I hate it. So I don't wear necklaces or anything. I can't stand jewelry. Let's see. I've seen people talking recently about the new Taos 2. Do you think Russia will be using that a lot soon? They've already been using it some. It's just a matter of production. I don't know what their production rates are. So really enjoy your content. How do you gather the information for your posts? So I have my Telegram sources that I have ran through the ringer, and I know the ringer, and I know who is reliable most of the time. It's all about data aggregation. So you just take as much information as you can from many sources. You have your like tier 1 sources that you fully trust. And then you have your tier 2 sources, which are, sometimes wrong, but sometimes their information is valuable. And then you have your tier 3 sources that are, the information is usually fake in some way, like Sprinter or whatever his name is on Twitter. I just can't stand that guy. I've been screwed over so many times by stuff that he's posted and other people have stolen and posted, and it's just fake. There are a few of those in the information space. I can't stand those accounts. So I would say I'm tier 2. I'm wrong sometimes. I am not, a expert on all things. So when it comes to where I put myself in that 2 category. You should always listen to what I say and think, oh, maybe he's wrong, because I definitely could be. And it's a good mental exercise to do just in your life all the time. Is anytime you hear something, just assume it might be wrong and then try to figure out if it's wrong. Twitter is absolute trash. Yeah, and I'm a freaking raccoon, so let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's see. I think opinions on, I don't even know who that is. Mikhail Vatterson. I don't know who that is. Maybe link something or send me a DM so I can see who that is. I'm curious. Maybe I do know him. I'm bad with names, and so. What pro-Ukrainian sources do you appreciate? I have some good ones. There are some that I really like. To start, one of the good ones is honestly the cat, the Ukraine cat. Whatever it is, somebody's gonna know what it is. There's the Ukrainian cat, sad cat, Ukraine or something. That account is probably one of the more realistic pro-Ukrainian accounts, which I really appreciate. They go to war. They're kind of unhinged, so you're going to have to deal with the unhinged aspects, but usually most of their information is realistic. They're very, very critical of the Ukrainian armed forces when they need to be. And then on Telegram, I have a couple, but Ukrainian sources are just usually bad. They believe the MOD too much. The same goes for Russian sources that overly rely on the Ministry of Defense or, the official like TASS and stuff like that. I don't like focus on that stuff very much. I usually ignore it just because, for one, anybody you're trying to convince is not going to listen to a wartime government. And two, they lie. So there's a chance that stuff's going to be wrong. And I don't like to rely on any of that. And that's what a lot of the pro-Ukrainian accounts do. Like Ukraine Battle Maps is always directly quoting the MOD, but stating it as fact and not saying that it's the MOD saying that. And that's like lying. That's like outright lying. You're just taking something at face value because you want it to be true. It's just lying. That's all it is. Yeah. So, let's see. Scott, do you think President Putin would be a good guest on Hot Ones? I think Putin would be a good guest on anything. I think that he's probably one of the few people in the world that literally has like nothing to like fear, right? Like of all the people. I mean, he might have fears, but in terms of like his setup, bro, that dude is untouchable. He can't even, I mean, even if like Mossad wanted him or the CIA, I mean, it would be a task and a half. So yeah, sure. I'll this is a good can you post a list of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 sources to help us know who to trust? If you guys follow my Telegram, I will throw a list of all my sources up on my Telegram. Okay. That is perfectly acceptable. So I'll throw up a tier list and help you guys. It won't be very long just because I rely on a ton of sources and that would take forever, but I'll put some good ones in there so you guys know who and what to trust. Or I'll probably just put the tier 1 ones. I don't want to go calling out people, calling out accounts, because there's some accounts like my account is partially entertainment, right? I joke in there, I post memes and stuff like that, TikToks and whatever. But you know, my account is also not like I don't want to be pretending like my account is some high flying super top tier analysis stuff. I try my best and I hope you guys appreciate it, but I'm not going to put myself in that group. What do you think of Hillary Clinton's comments on Tucker? I don't think that lady should be listened to ever. Assume everything she says is a lie, and then assume that lie is also probably a lie. She is the devil incarnate, and I'm not a very religious man, so yeah. She should. Dude, their grip. I mean, they are in control right now. The Hillary Clinton faction is in control right now in the State Department and everything, and they're messing up so bad, and it's going to come back and bite them so hard. Let's see. Personal question: how long have you been working out, and how do you stay disciplined? Well, first off, sometimes I don't stay disciplined, man. This is something you're going to have to. It's a battle that you have to have with yourself every single day. I am like an extremely lazy person a lot of the time. So I go to the gym, but I don't always diet the way I'm supposed to. And really it just has to become something that you don't think about as something that is like hard to do. The gym just has to become your day. It just has to become a part of your day. Like you can't miss it for any reason, like work. It just has to be, it's just something you have to do. And then the diet, I would say just get everything out of your house that's gross and you don't want to be eating, and fill your house up with good food and a lot of it. Make sure you have snacks and stuff to eat. Don't like starve yourself, or don't hammer food like in a gross way if you're trying to bulk. Just take it easy, figure out what works for your body, and then you'll start loving it, and you'll feel lost without it. That's what bodybuilding became to me. I don't do that anymore because I've kind of moved on, and now I have like this, and this is like so much of my time. But you just gotta stick with it. And when you start to see yourself become the person that you want to become, there's nothing like that feeling. That's like winning at a casino. That's like when you're in a clutch or kick situation in a video game and you get that last kill and your teammates are all happy and celebrating and you were the one who won, that feeling, that's like going to the gym and like seeing your arm or your back or your legs, and you're like, oh man, this is what I want to look like. That's That's the goal. So that's just that's the point you have to get to. And it's really just a battle you have to have with yourself every day until it's no longer a battle because it's just become your normal. Are the Russians still pushing in Bogdanivka? I thought 50 to 80,000 Russians around Bakhmut they would have. So when you say 50 to 80,000, there's not that number on the front lines. There are the right amount of men on the front lines to do standard operations without, there's not just like 50,000 Russians pushing in this area because then something would get done, right? That amount of troop concentration, there's no way you couldn't have, when they say around Bakhmut, they mean probably 100 kilometers behind Bakhmut. There are 500 or 80,000 men in rotation, running logistics, all of that stuff. So that's not, there's definitely not that many men fighting in trenches around Bakhmut. And like I said, the progress is not going to come fast. It's just going to come at an extreme cost for the Ukrainians. That's what the goal is. The Russians have the artillery advantage. They have the aviation advantage, and they're going to exploit that. I think that's it for me today, guys. I'm getting tired. I'm going to head out. Please follow me on Telegram and Twitter. If I don't post those sources, somebody remind me. I'll get that post up. That's a good idea. And then other than that, everybody take care and have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye, everyone.